Let's Talk About It Media 21. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's going on. A lot going on in regards to what the jury is doing, what they're saying, having problems with the instructions. That's a huge one. But we're going to go ahead, do the disclaimer. Do the disclaimer. And can you guys hear me okay? Sometimes I just go and I be hoping and praying y'all can hear me all right. But good morning. Come on in, like the video, subscribe to the page. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Let me know what the weather is where you're at. Are you guys okay? Are you comfortable? We're going to get into a few different things. Finally, doing good with the pictures. Sometimes I be wanting to put captions on there, but it just brings people in. It's more work for me. I just be wanting to get in here. So if y'all only knew how to, I got to get that picture up there. Okay, so let's get into this. Let me get in my disclaimer because more people are going to start falling in. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commas, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Good morning, Paris. I was hoping I didn't hit the wrong button. I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen her in days. Should I have let her delete the comment? Good morning, girl. I was like panicking. But I had to remove it. I just didn't want people to screenshot it. I'm deleting something right now. Hold on one second. I'll look up in a second. But I just saw your name. I was talking for so long. Oh my goodness. My disclaimer, the whole thing is on there. Hold on, Paris. I was happy to see you. And then I know sometimes too, I'm up early because remember I always say who picked this time? So I was like, I didn't block, but I had to delete that for a second so nobody, there we go. Okay. Okay, what are we saying? Yeah, okay, you did change. Okay. 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 Sounds good. I was panicking because at first I was like, wait a minute. The name, the ranch, let me delete. I panicked to protect you. Here I am. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, good. And at first I was like, maybe you should have let her delete the comment, but I was like, I kind of knew it was you because of the wrench. You're the only one with a wrench. But it's all good. I'm glad everything was fixed. But as soon as you said it, and as soon as I said it, and I was like, well, wait a minute, you're telling people you got to watch what you say. Normally I'm careful about what I read, but it was kind of like, I think I was in the middle. You know how excited I get when you come on. I get excited. It's like, hello, everybody, say hello to Paris. But I was like, is that her? What's going on? Then you said what you said. So I said, okay, just time it out for 30 and just get off before the 30 ends. So, yeah. Okay. All right, you guys, we're going to update what's going on. Um, those jurors, seems like the jurors is having a little hard time trying to understand the instructions, baby. What is going on? Oh, you were listening? Oh, okay, that's what's up. Um, and see, this is the one thing. Okay, people don't know if the juror is just straightforward, knowing what they want their decision to be, or if the juror is like, I got his back, I don't care what y'all saying, but for him not to listen to the judge. So as I'm talking with a friend, they were like, maybe they're just frustrated and they just want to get out of there. It's like they can't do that. They have to listen to what the judge is saying. They got to follow the instructions. And allegedly, the judge spent hours, 1 or 2 hours, trying to explain the instructions. You know me, I was watching a law page that went to some instructions on a case they did, and the instructions were pages and pages. And she was like, as a lawyer, she was like, this is giving me a headache. So if they're at the end of this and they have to read all this and understand it, they're probably frustrated and wanting to get out, but they got a duty to deal with what's going on. And that's probably why they say the judge tries to be very considerate of the jury. Now, time frame. They will still get their lunch breaks. They will still get, bathroom breaks. It's not going to be so tedious that they won't be able to have breaks. And allegedly, they have uh, a police officer or um, someone of an authority that kind of keeps an eye on the jury, which is good. I learned that yesterday. So there's just a lot going on. And then let's be very clear. Y'all know I watch different stuff. Um, I'm funny, but I got to watch what I say. Okay. So watching different stuff and knowing that it was really busy yesterday outside the building of the courthouse. This morning, not as much. People really thought that the jury was going to make a decision yesterday, and there was no way, unless, see, remember how we talked about it days ago, how they were saying it could take up to a good 4 to 5 days because the instructions and this case has gone so long. It's different if a case only went for a week or two, but this case has gone for almost 6 weeks. So many attorneys felt that it could be a while. So general public is thinking they're going to get a decision yesterday. No decision. No. So it's a little lighter in front of the courthouse today, which is good. There was a lot of drama yesterday. There was a lot of issues yesterday. Some people seem not well in front of the courthouse. You got to be able to ignore and just do your thing. But it's sometimes hard. But yeah, some of our faves are out there. People were like asking, why didn't you go? For what? I like doing things in the comfort of my crib, being next to my boo, my bae, and my fam. I had too much going on. I'm not that interested in going and just to show my face. And then you saw that I'm being funny. You saw some people getting their flowers and doing such a great job. Then other people were like, wow, they're getting their flowers. They're doing a great job. Maybe I can go and maybe I can get on a news station. People love clicks and views. I'm straight right here. But anyway, some of my faves, and I've told y'all, about 2 weeks ago, who some of my faves were. And guess what? A lot of those people got their flowers. I be telling y'all who to look out for because they're open, they're honest. They were in the courtroom or the overflow room, and they did it with grace. They did it in a comic way. They did a great job covering the case. Now there's some I don't fool with because they messed around and was doing stuff against me. So I don't fool with them. And so now there's people that's calling them liars. So I get it because, you putting out false narratives. And then you got to be careful with TMZ, y'all. People got to be careful with TMZ because sometimes TMZ be doing stuff a little too fast. But them saying that the charges and all that, people were like, no, that's not what really happened. They're basically feeling like he did do it. And they just changed the wording to make it more clear for the jurors. But see, some people want to be first. They want to be first and they get it wrong. So I'm cautious. I don't fool with and I don't do YouTube beasts. I keep my calm over here. But yeah, we don't know if it's there hasn't been a decision yet. Let's see. What did my notes say? What time did it start this morning? Hold on. Give me a second. I hope all is well, Paris. All is well. I hope all is well. Okay, it is basically saying the latest jury returns for deliberation. Boom. The second day in regards to the trial. There's words I can't say. Let's see. Okay, on Monday, the jurors deliberated for over 5 hours after receiving the instructions, is what's being reported. And then if you don't know, there was notes sent back and forth, allegedly to the judge, trying to get proper instructions on what they should do about this certain juror. Man, we don't know if he's for or against, but I know the judge is probably shaking his head. The holiday can't come fast enough. Real talk. The holiday can't come fast enough because there's been so much drama, conflict, distractions. And I told y'all that there was going to be drama, distractions, and issues. And his attorneys seems as if, my opinion, trying to normalize his behavior, trying to call Diddy and Cassie's relationship a modern day love story. What? That's not no modern day love story. No girl that's trying to work on her career and then she got to sleep with other men days on end, like a rotating, oh, watch what you say, rotating situation. Um, the mom being asked for money. Man, see, I don't get it. In our day-to-day life, we talk how we want. When we get on here, we have to watch what we say. So him asking the mom to give him money and then play mind games and get the money back. But see, in court, they found the trace of that money. So it's a trip. It's unhealthy relationships, unhealthy work environment. And I don't know how some people are like, he didn't do nothing wrong. Where they do that at? And asking an employee to take a substance. I wish my boss would, at the time, ask me to take a substance. I would have called the popos right then and there. Stop playing. Yeah. Yeah, I would have called the popos right then and there. Got to protect yourself. And what job do you know where you have to be up for days? And some people would say, well, getting the job, taking the job, I knew what that was going to be like. But the biggest thing is no boss should ever ask you to be up for 3 or 4 days. That's not healthy in itself. You need your rest, you need your breaks, you need your food. And that's the biggest thing. There's HR issues, union issues, getting your breaks, getting your lunches, getting time for yourself to recoup, rejuvenate. Who wouldn't want you to recoup and rejuvenate? That's how he treats people is just not good. And how the attorneys are trying to normalize what's happening is just, it's just interesting me. And it's making me side eye. I get that certain attorneys take on clients in a certain way, but it takes a special person to defend a person like this. It takes a special person. And like I said before, he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Yeah, but the women that chose to be with him, I kind of side eye them too. And it's sad that victims are victimized constantly and treated in a disrespectful way, demeaning way, demoralizing way, and then they have their families worried about them. And then you try and leave, and you're getting in an elevator to try and leave. Now, we don't know, we can't confirm or deny if that was either Cassie's phone or Diddy phone, but he's trying to say he grabbed her like that because he wanted his phone back. Why not just put your hand out, dude, and say, give me my phone back? But let's get to what's going on in court. I didn't talk enough, but, you know, I kind of wanted to update you. But yeah, in front of the courthouse, it's not as chaotic as it was yesterday, but who's to say people didn't sleep in? Because some people stayed there late thinking that they were going to get a verdict. No, those people were struggling to even follow the judge's instructions. So what will happen today? We don't know. What will happen tomorrow? We don't know. Will they wrap up before the 4th of July? But let's get to it. Thanks for being here, everyone. Good morning.
Talking throughout this case, 6 weeks of testimony, the prosecution trying to connect the dots to get a conviction here. How difficult will it be for this jury just to understand the task at hand, and how will the judge instruct them today?
It's going to be difficult because these are complicated charges, racketeering, sex trafficking. They're not your garden variety. And so a lot of attention is going to need to be made to make it simple for the jury to understand, you know, to meet this element, to meet that element. So that they're not getting confused and come up with the wrong verdict. So it's really a challenge with those jury instructions and the jury verdict form. You're going to be very meticulous.
That might be why they might not want KK on the stand. Many people feel different about KK not hitting the stand and then not calling witnesses. The biggest thing is she should have hit that stand because assistants and Cassie and some of the girlfriends were calling her to complain. They should have made her get on that stand. Sorry, certain stuff that's been told to us, and that's why I get my information from the news, but I listen to different lawyers at night and some of my favorites. Some people felt that KK should have hit that stand no matter what. And wherever that MIA other girl is, they should have made us very clear on where she's at. Did she take a settlement, or did they work it out? Is she still hoping to have a relationship of some sorts with Diddy? But KK would have been able to explain all the HR concerns, human resources concerns, if they got a union. Real talk. Okay, let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
To make it as easy and straightforward as they can, because that's really the roadmap that allows the jurors to determine, whether or not there's, there should be a conviction or there's a crime.
So, given that, are we expecting that this deliberation will take longer than usual? What should we know going into this about timing?
Wait a minute. This is so funny. This person called it a ghetto trial. I kind of think so. And that's why some people felt that they should have had a more seasoned judge handle the case. But I think they were stating the first judge got removed and he wanted a different judge. And maybe this is why certain attorneys, they're saying certain attorneys are kind of panicking right now. Certain attorneys, they're panicking. They're, is the jury going to understand? Should we have called witnesses? Should we have put KK on the stand? How people are reacting, and then people are kind of in the courtroom, then leaving the courtroom, and it's like, we don't want to sit through all that. It's not easy. One person went for one day and they were like, I don't understand how people are doing this every day. You went for one day and fussing. You should have kept your butt at home. Anyway, let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
I think it's going to take longer than normal. Usually when there's a quick verdict, it happens one of two ways. First of all, it's a slam dunk case.
Thanks for subscribing.
It's clear that there's a crime that happened and there should be a conviction. Or it's just absolutely not a good case at all and the jury comes back fast. There's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of things to consider. And I think the jury's going to have to take its time to go over everything. All the pieces of evidence. We're talking about 34 witnesses, hundreds of exhibits, a lot of tests.
Yeah, I read that ghetto trial. Let me ask you guys, do you think he's guilty, not guilty, or do you think this will be a mistrial? And do you think, if you were one of the jurors, if you could have handled this? Just a question.
So there's a lot to go over. And most juries take their job very seriously. They don't want to rush it. They understand, that somebody's life's at stake, the liberty of that person, and they want to get it right. So I would assume that this is going to take a little bit longer than normal.
Do you think, Trey, given all of the testimony that you heard as you followed this case, it's more likely they'll find him guilty on one of the charges? And if so, which one?
I think it's an uphill battle with RICO and the racketeering, just because there's a lot of questions there, whether or not this was a personal lifestyle or it was an actual criminal enterprise. And the sex trafficking, I think the fact that these are personal relationships, these are girlfriends, some lasting 10 years, that's not going to fall on deaf ears. So I think they may have an uphill battle with those. The one charge they may get a little bit easier is the prostitution, like the transportation to engage in prostitution, because there is evidence that they transported these sex workers across state lines. And if the jury believes it's prostitution, then they met the element. So I think they're going to have a challenge on the two big ones, and they may have an easier time on the prostitution.
Yeah, I mean, what a case to watch. How about the argument from the defense, Trey, that these were willing participants, and then how does that reconcile with the video that the jury saw of Cassie, his girlfriend at the time, in that hotel room?
The big competing themes in this have been coercion versus consent. And the defense has just hammered, this is consent. This is a private relationship that, yes, it went bad. There was violence, and that should have never happened. But this was between two loving people. This is their lifestyle. And it certainly didn't cross the line to criminality. The jury's going to really kind of take that to heart. The defense is pounding two things. Really, they want to go at the elements. They want to go at reasonable doubt, but they're trying to strike something bigger here. It's like, hey, this is above Sean Diddy combs. This attacks every one of us about the government coming in our bedroom. If you have some guy that's had a string of a few bad relationships, what now? They're going to go after him for racketeering? I mean, where are we going with this? And so they want to leave the jury with a little bit of something more. So this is bigger than combs. This is really important. And I think they accomplished that. So, it's really two competing factions.
And we do have to realize this is becoming an issue because you're at a facility, you're giving services. Just like I said, if you're in the car and a cop pulls up, you're giving services, there's concerns here. They can't try and normalize what he does because he's also asking those people to take substances, whether it's the women. And a lot of times, some of the people that they were calling to give services, sometimes they didn't see the unwanted touch. Sometimes they didn't see them taking substances. So they just knew that something was going on. Then remember, this was sad. This one gutted me. When they said that one of the bodyguards or assistants saw Cassie and how she had unwanted marks on her face and they cried, I was gutted, because it's like, if you knew that, get her out of there, get her away from there, give her some money to go to a island or out of the country or something.